everyone. Good day. Thank you so much for joining us once again on this episode of Outreachy Coffee Chats. If you're just joining us or if you're passing by, this is Outreachy Internship YouTube channel. Outreachy provides paid remote internship opportunity in open source and open science for uh, everyone from all over the world. Okay, let me use this opportunity to congratulate those persons who initial application was accepted. Congratulations, everyone. I'm really proud of you. On behalf of Outreachy, we're proud of you, and we are looking forward to your contribution this period. And we can't wait to officially welcome you to the internship itself. So, for persons who initial application wasn't accepted, please don't quit. Please, I will encourage you to apply again. We have past interns whose application was approved even after the second attempt. So learn from past interns articles you can read online. You can read the Asuchi documentations on initial application again, and please apply again. We look forward to receiving your application. So today we are going to be talking about the contribution stage itself. So we are going to have with me some special guests, associate past interns, and today we are going to be discussing the what. And I mean the what is the contribution stage, and the how, and that is how you are to choose your project, how you are to join your open source the project community, and the moving on, how you're going to navigate through this stage. So let me welcome our guest for today. I have with me Moazzam, I have Richie, I have Loveth and Blessing. Hi, how you doing? Thank you so much for volunteering and working with us to support the Outreachy applicants. We really appreciate you, and I know a lot of our interns, our applicants actually, they are on board today. They are joining us on YouTube, on Twitter, on various platforms to learn from your experiences. And also we have other outreach organizers in the comment section on YouTube to answer some questions as they come. So there will be a section for Q&A, but if you have any question, and this is to the audience, please feel free to drop it. So let me move over to the guest now. We're going to start with introduction. We want to get to meet you, where you're joining us from, the open source community or open science community that's under Outreachy past community that you contributed or you intern with, and we want to know what you did, the part of contribution that you actually did during your time. I'm going to start with Richie. Hi, Richie. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, hi, Amotula. Okay, it's nice to be here. Okay, so my name is Richie Moluno, and during my internship, I worked for Open Life Science Saudi Arabia. So basically, what Open Life Science Saudi Arabia does, they're basically organization or a program that train new researchers or researchers in general into making reproducible research. So during my internship, I focused majorly on the backend side of the project. So I was responsible for building APIs, automating tests, and majorly CI/CD pipelines and the rest. So during my internship, I focused on backend, just strictly backend. That's just basically it. Where I'm talking from, coming from Nigeria, to be precise. That's
All
it.
right, Richie. Nice to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us once again. So I'm going to move over to Lovette. Hi, Lovette. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Motola. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Loveth Omokaro. I live in Benin City, Nigeria, Africa. So the community I contributed to was Wagtail CMS. So Wagtail is a content management system which you can use to build a beautiful website. They mainly use the Django framework, And my role there was front-end engineer. So I was mainly concerned with converting some of the UI components to a new framework.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Loveth. And we are looking forward to learning from your experience. And also, we know some interns are joining you very soon. To also like better support the Outreachy applicant. Thank you so much for all the effort you put into this. So let's move over to Blessing. Hi, Blessing. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello, I'm Ogoh Blessing Onyowoicho. I am based in Benue State, Nigeria. I'm a front-end developer, but during Outreachy's December round for 2022, I worked with JupyterHub. My role when I was contributing to JupyterHub was to make JupyterHub more accessible. Basically, I worked on making their sites more accessible to people that have disabilities. Let's say, for instance, someone who is blind wants to go through JupyterHub, they would have to rely on a screen reader. So I had to make the content on their site more suitable for people with disabilities. Let's say people that are blind, people that have issues with locomotion, they can't use their hands, etc. That was what I did.
Awesome, awesome project. I must really say that project sound and must be amazing. Thank you so much for contributing to that amazing project. Okay, let's move over to Mozam. Hi, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, thank you for inviting me. And as Amotola already introduced my name is Moazzam, and I was an intern for the OCaml community. And what OCaml is it's a programming language. It's a functional programming language, and it's general purpose, so you can use it for anything. But it's mostly used for systems programming in most use cases. And what I did during my internship period was that so there was this new version of OCaml coming out called OCaml 5, and this supported parallelism. So it was my job to create benchmarks so that the developers of the OCaml language could test this new version of the OCaml. And that was what I did for most of my internship.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Okay, so before we move into how to navigate the contribution stage, before we even move into like better understanding the contribution stage, I know after writing the initial application, a lot of persons are really looking forward, praying, I want my results to come back positive. And here you are. So I'm referring back to your contribution period now. Here you are. Your results came back after you welcome you to the contribution stage. So I would like to ask you, what was the feeling like at this period when you saw that email or when you check your Outreachy dashboard and you saw that, oh, you're eligible to participate in the contribution stage. So share that excitement with us, share the anticipation and you seeing the results, share how you felt with us. So let's start with Loveth.
Okay, so thank you for that. Before this round, I've applied to Outreachy 2 times before. So the first time I applied was in my third year in uni, I think 2021. I was not selected. I did not pass the initial application round. So when I received the mail that period, I was really sad because I felt I put a lot of effort into writing the essays. Then again, I applied for the next round, which was the December to March 2022. I passed that round. I mean, I was really shocked when I saw the mail that I passed the round because I was actually not expecting to pass it. I mean, I used the previous essay I wrote before. I added some things that I've already experienced. I was being like so truthful. But when I received the mail, I was in shock. I mean, I had to call my roommate then to check it out for me to see if I actually like received the mail, or maybe I was streaming, that kind of stuff. So it was a really exciting moment for me, even if I did not pass the contribution period that round, but at least I passed the initial application phase. It was a really, really nice feeling. I mean, everybody likes winning, right? So, and that was a win for me.
Yes, awesome. And you won. Nice one.
Yeah.
I've also dropped like a question for our audience. Like I want them to share with us using just one word how they felt now that they are contributing, or let's say how they felt when they saw that email. They should use one word to share with us. I'm looking forward to that big word or that excitement word. So I'm going to be checking through the comments. Okay, so let's move on to Mozam. Hi, can you share with us your experience, how you felt?
Hello. So yeah, when I saw my email, it was just a regular evening. I didn't actually know that that today was going to be the night where when the results are going to be announced. So I was just having dinner with my family, and then I just happened to check my email, and then in my inbox there it is. You've been accepted for the contribution period, and I was in disbelief. Disbelief is the word I'd use. You were asking for that one word, right? Um, and I was really excited, and I was like, "Great! This is the beginning for me to get like involved in open source because I had never really worked in open source. Like, I had been involved in open source before, so I was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yes, let's do it. And it's actually a win. And just like Loveth mentioned, Loveth actually applied more than once. And yes, she is. She got into the contribution stage. She's going to be telling us more about the contribution stage. Mozam also wasn't sure this is actually true. So let's hear from Richie. Hi Richie, how did you feel or felt during your period?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Okay, initially I was very, very surprised. I was very, very surprised because I applied before for the internship and I didn't get selected, even for the initial application. And normally I was a bit used to getting rejected in all these applications because I've applied many times for different opportunities. I get rejected. So when I opened my mail and I just saw that I was accepted for the initial application, I was really, 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 really surprised. The reason I was surprised was because it was just essays. It was not really anything to show like how skilled I was or anything. It was just based off my essays, and I was not really good at writing essays. So I was really really surprised. And I've been hearing a lot about open source contributions, going into open source, and I just felt okay. Since I've been accepted, this would be a good opportunity to explore open source. I was really really surprised in general. That's basically it.
Yes, yes, surprise. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, quick one so that we can move to the main discussion for today. Blessing, share with us how you felt.
For me, I was really, really, really excited. Just like Love It, this is the second time I'm applying for Outreachy. The first time I applied, I made it through the initial application phase. Then it was during the contribution phase, I think I got kicked out. I wasn't selected for the internship proper. I was really, really, really down. But I just told myself that giving up wasn't an option. The
Mm.
worst I would do is just pick a couple of days to rest and then pat myself on the back for the work I've done and then pick myself up and try again. So when I got the mail that my initial application was accepted the second time, it felt as if the universe was giving me an opportunity to right the wrongs I made in the first round. Like I literally have a book where I took note of all the errors I made in the first round. So I was like, okay, bring it on. We are ready for this again. So that was how that's how it was for me.
Awesome, awesome. And I want to believe the applicants are also learning from everything we are sharing. Please, we are going, this is a chat. We are going to be chatting. And please, during this chat, just listen carefully. Just like Blessing mentioned, jot down some things, take notes of. some things. If you're not clear about anything, please drop it in the comments. We are going to answer every of your questions, please. And also, we've heard from past interns that this is not their first time. That wasn't their first time. When they got in, wasn't their first time of applying, and they took note of the mistake they made and applied better. So now let's talk about the contribution stage. Before we move on to the first question, this is actually like the first question. I know a lot of persons were encouraged to apply for the initial application, even when the past project did not contain the skills that they currently have. Everyone was encouraged to apply because there is always a space for you. Moza mentioned that this was his first time of actually working on that project or open source projects, right? And I know a lot of persons are actually in this stage right now that probably do not have, they're seeing the projects that are available on the Outreachy website, and they are not sure of which to take. So this is me reminding you that it's okay if you don't have all the skills or if you're not sure of all the skills. Outreachy makes it easier because this project contains I've highlighted the skills, and these skills are the experience level as from one goes from 1 to 5. I'm going to share this screen to explain. So while I'm explaining this, I'm also going to be calling after explaining this, we are going to be having the past interns also use their experience to explain how they pick their project, and the if they could remember the experience level this project required of them, and why how they felt this was the best decision. I mean, the project that they chose actually was the best project for them. So if we can all see this, I'm showing us the experience level. The Outreachy project, all the projects have different experience level. So you're going to see, you might see one which shows, so for any project that has one, it shows that there is no knowledge required. You're welcome to apply, you will learn on it, or it's something you should be able to navigate. For two, it shows that you should have the concept. You should have the necessary concept about the project or the tools you're going to use. For three, it shows that your experience level should be like you should have experience using or using the project or working on the project. Then for four, you should be comfortable. That should be your experience level. And for five, you should be ready to take up challenge. So that means you've passed the comfortable stage. You are ready to even work more, learn more on it. And for the required skills, we have the required level. So the project can be divided into three: required, preferred, and nice to have. So for a project that has required in front, it shows you that the mentor will only select you if you have this skill, like you have this the project skills. And for preferred, it shows that the mentor just said, oh, I prefer to select an intern with these skills, but as well they can select you if you don't have the skills. But when they say, when a project skill says nice to have, it shows that mentor will select you even when you don't have the stated skills. I hope everyone understand that. And before I go on to the past interns, I want everyone to go through the documentation they received with their mail, and please read every of this information. So I'm going to go over to the past interns now, and we're going to start with Blessing. So Blessing, tell us about the project you pick. No, so now you're not telling us about the project itself, but you're just telling us about the project you picked, and the skills level.
Okay.
If you can remember that.
Okay. So immediately I got the mail that I had been selected to participate in the contribution phase. I mentioned it earlier that I have a book dedicated to Outreachy. So I went through the list of projects available and I picked about five that were in line with my skills. And then I also picked projects with goals that I love. I had about five projects to pick from. Then I think I started working almost immediately. I got my mail. So by the next day, I had five projects on ground already. Then by the next day, I had about six projects on ground. Then by the next day, I had
Hi Blessing, are you still there?
fast. I
Um,
felt like, can you hear me?
Yes, you're back.
Okay. I decided to go with JupyterHub because I had most of the skills that I required, and apart from that, I'm someone that has struggled with a disability, like a health challenge in the past. So me having to use my skills to improve other people's user experience on the web was something that I really held dear to me. And with that kind of passion for my project, I knew that weeks later, when the project would maybe start getting overwhelming, I'll know that I have a sense of purpose. So like that, I won't be pushed enough to the extent of giving up whatsoever. So that's what I'd advise interns to do. Pick projects with goals that align with you. The popularity of a project shouldn't be the basis for which you pick a project. Like you just set yourself up for nothing. That was what I did during the first round. I think I just saw UNICEF and I was like, oh, UNICEF is popular. I studied a health related course. So if I'm able to contribute to UNICEF, it's going to help my resume. That was what I thought. But I just set myself up for nothing, for problem for a problem because the UNICEF project required me knowing a framework. If I remember well, it was Hugo, and I had no idea what that framework was. So instead of making good contributions that are going to give me a chance at Outreachy, I spent the entire 4 weeks learning what Hugo was. So popularity of a project shouldn't be a basis by which you pick a project. Pick a project with skills you have, and then pick a project with goals that are totally aligned with you. So that's it.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Blessing. I can see Richie is already answering some of the questions as well. Thank you so much. So let's move over to Moazzam now. And Moazzam, please, you are going to tell us the steps you took back then to select the projects you contributed to, and why did you pick this project?
Yeah, sure. So, what Blessing just mentioned right now, popular, the thing about popular projects, that was certainly a thing that I was thinking about too. And and again, I was also mistaken because you hear all these big names like Firefox um, or UNICEF or things like that, and it occurs, and you think to yourself, "Oh, great! This is my opportunity to work in these big organizations." But that's probably not the best way to go about it because there's so many communities, and all of them are so good and friendly, and they may not necessarily even be the best to develop the certain skill sets that you're looking to develop. And I would say, so what I specifically was doing myself was I was, during the first few weeks, I was just exploring all the projects, just like dropping into the matrix chats or Discord chats for all of them, trying to just check out the vibe for all of the communities and see what the nature of the project is like. And so it was more like the first few days was more like shopping for a project and getting an idea for it. And then I looked at OCaml. I had seen it before, but after a couple of days, when I looked at the description more closely and I studied the project more carefully, I realized that it's a functional programming language. And personally, for me, I had some interest in functional programming, and so it kind of stood out for me. It was always in the back of my head, but eventually, as I kept contributing, it naturally just came about that I was contributing the most to OCaml, at least within the first 2-3 days. And then I just realized that, okay, I've sort of got into the rhythm of this project. I'll just keep on focusing on this particular project. and and the skill levels, I think, you shouldn't necessarily worry too much about the skills. Of course, you need to know a little about the basics. If you're doing something in web development, you should know like basic HTML and CSS. But for me, like, even in my project, there was a requirement to know about micro not sorry micro parallel programming, and that's something I had never done before. So I just thought maybe this is an opportunity to learn that. And
Awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, Mozam, thank you so much for sharing that. I hope everyone is taking notes. Please, I want everyone to please listen to what our past interns are saying, and as well go through the comments. We have other past interns answering question in the comments, and if any of your question is not answered at any point, please throw the question at us. I mean, drop it in the comments, and we are going to be answering the questions. So love it. Tell us about the projects you picked and why you picked the project and the steps. Please take us through all the steps you took to select your project. You are muted.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. So I mentioned
Fine.
before that that I've applied to Outreachy 3 times. So the first time I was not picked, like I did not pass the initial application round. Then the second time I passed the initial application round, but I did not pass the contribution round. So the reason why I failed the contribution round was because of the fact that I was not serious when it comes to making contributions, as at that moment I did not have any tech skills. So the only skills I had was, let's say, writing, and the only project that I could pick then was Opia. Yeah, Opia and Fedora is like design. So when I picked those projects, I joined the community, and then I noticed that there were a lot of people, like there were so many people in those communities, and they were all active. So I lost morale. Like I felt like the chances of me being picked would be very little. So I stopped making contributions. I did not do anything, and till the last week before the contribution phase would end, that's when I just rushed and already made some little contributions. When I was not picked, I knew that okay, it was my fault. Like it was my fault that I was not picked. So when I applied for this December to March round, I told my friend that I was going to get in. Like I was going to get in. So after I applied, I submitted my essay. Even before I received the mail that I have passed the initial application round, I looked at the projects that were listed. So even before the contribution phase starts, all the projects are being listed. So I looked at the projects, I noted the ones that aligns with my skills. I think I picked about three then. I can only remember Creative Commons and Wagtail and I think Open Life. So those three, they were the ones that were closely related to my skills. So I picked them. I read about the project. I actually Googled about the project. Some of them created a wiki on GitHub. So if you are lucky, you can find those wiki. So I researched about the project. I got to know about it to see if it's something that I'm comfortable doing. So after my initial application was approved, so I looked at those projects. So the one I actually decided to settle on was Creative Commons and Wactel. So Creative Commons required me to have mainly HTML, yeah, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript skills. I think the experience level was 3 for each of them. Then they also preferred Django, then accessibility, security, and the rest. I never knew Django. I've not used it before. I've used Python, but just a little bit. And Django is like a Python framework, and I haven't used it before. But because of the fact that I knew that okay, it's only JavaScript, CSS, and HTML that is like required, and I'm very confident in those skills. I said, okay, let me just like focus on this. You understand? Then same thing for Creative Commons. Creative Commons mainly required you to have JavaScript skills. So I joined both of the communities too. So I was trying to see the one that I would feel more comfortable in. You understand? So let's say a week after trying to contribute to both of those communities, I noticed that I was more comfortable with Wagtail. Like I felt more at home in Wagtail. I felt that Wagtail is a place I would like to be. Like it was really friendly. Everybody was friendly. The whole place was like very interactive. Creative Commons was friendly. They were friendly too. It was interactive, but the crowd there were a lot, and setting up the code base on my PC like took a lot of effort. So I had to, like, I think I had to install Docker and all those other stuff. And my system then, I think I was using HP Pavilion G6, and it was just 4 gig RAM. So my system started hanging. I was not able to do anything. So I just had to be like, okay, fine, let me just drop this community and then focus on one. And as at that point, there were about 20 people. Sorry, there were about 200, even more than 200 interns, like people that wanted to contribute to Wagtail in our Slack channel. So they were like a lot of people, but I never really cared about that. I cared about the fact that I enjoyed like communicating with the people in the community. I cared about the fact that I enjoyed working on the issues. Like when I see the issues, I look at the problem that is written there. I'm able to think of a solution, or at least even if I'm not able to think of a solution, I'm able to have an idea of what I can do. You understand? So I felt more comfortable with them. And then I was like, okay, regardless of the number of interns that they are going to pick at the end of the day, let me give my all to this project. So I focused 100% of my effort and my time on the project. And at the end of the day, my effort paid off.
Yeah, it's paid off. It's paid off because you actually got into the Outreachy internship. That was a very deep explanation on the process you went through. So some persons are asking questions in the chat. I know the Outreachy organizers are answering, and we have our past interns also answering the questions. To get detailed information, I mean, the community projects platform that the community project is using, please read the details. Let me see if I can share this. Please read. I'm going to use this bioconductor to explain. So this is bioconductor project. They need 3 interns, and if you look through this part where my cursor is, if you click this, it's going to take you to bioconductor community landing page. And okay, so it's going to take you to the bioconductor community landing page, and once you click on that, you are going to get all the detailed information. I mean, information from where the community is, how you can contact your mentors, what you are required to do, the first thing that the mentor or the community the project is expecting you to do once you get to the community. Please don't ignore this. Past interns might not be even able to help you with this. So you need to read and understand the requirements, what is expected of you. Yes, I just wanted to like point that out before we move to Richie. Richie, thank you so much for engaging with the applicants out there. So Richie, you're also going to tell us
Yeah, thank you very
about,
much. Okay,
yeah,
so
you're going
for
to hello
go
Richie, are you
on.
there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so I'm just trying to explain that you're going to tell us why and the process, the steps you took to select the project. And also, I'll jump to the next question from you, which is you tell us when you joined the project community, what are some things you noticed when you first joined the community project?
All right. Okay, so initially, when after I got the email that I was selected, what I did, I went through the project list, and the I think the key to going through this thing is finding a project where you have majority of the skills. That I think that's a major key. Even if you don't have whole, that does not mean you can contribute to the project because sometimes there are some extra skills that they might require that they didn't add you don't know, you never can tell. But if you find a project that you have, let's say a project requires, like the project I contributed to, the one I worked on, the Open Life Science, what it required just front end development, I think GitHub and Git, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. So, and me being a backend guy, I don't really know much about front end. But I knew for sure that as long as there's JavaScript and there's just basically of GitHub and Git, I'm good to go. Even if I don't really know much about front end, they're good to go. As long as, and when I check the list of other projects they were looking for Python developers, and me, I'm not really good in that. So I just picked the projects that had the hard skills that I have. Normally I major on JavaScript, so only I picked about three projects. One was Creative Commons, the other one was Open Life Science, and I think one was Public Lab. No, five projects. I still picked Zulip too, because all of them they still had similar skills that I had too. But the next step was now, and I went into the project group chat. And once you open the project, you see their group chat. Some I use Slack, some I use Discord, depending on whichever they're using. I went into them, then looked through the project repositories. The reason why this thing is important because you might have the skills that are required, but that does not mean you'll be able to contribute effectively there. Because sometimes some projects, their repository are a bit more complex than the others. So it would be good if you go through the project, go through the repositories, and try and see if you'll be comfortable working here. Or if you understand their code base, it will give you, I think, a better chance when you're making contributions. I think that's just how I did mine. I created a list of 5 projects in total. Then I streamlined it to 3, then later 2. So the two major projects I was not working, which were Public Lab and Open Life Science. So when I now started contributing during the contribution phase, I noticed that I was a bit more comfortable contributing to Open Life Science because the repository for Open Life Science was very, very clear, very neat to understand. It was not like a big repository. So I understood the code base, I understood what they were looking for. So I just channeled all my effort there. So that was just basically what I did. I channeled all my effort there. Initially, I felt maybe they might not choose me because I didn't really have all the skills required. But I know the highest chance I'll get at getting this internship is if I work with them because one, it was relatively easy to contribute to Open Life Science compared to the other ones. That's basically so. The question about what I noticed when I started the contribution phase. At first, I was I was a bit afraid. The reason why was because immediately I joined, I already saw that some interns, some applicants already started contributing, and I'm not used to this whole open source. So I was a bit afraid. I was like, I sent an email today and people have already started contributing. So I was a bit afraid. I was like, do I still have a chance at this? So what I just did, I just ignored everything, just did my thing. It's very, very, very competitive. So you feel like you're lagging behind because you have seen others gone ahead of you. So I just asked questions where I felt, okay, I didn't really understand. The mentors, they were very, very kind. They explained everything. Even if I saw other people contributing way before me. And at that point, I didn't really even know much about how to contribute. And if you don't really know much about how to contribute, most of these projects, what they do, they give like first time issues just to give you a feel on how contributing to open sources. I think that really helped me overcome that fear of contributing initially. I think that's basically it.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I think you've done justice to that question. Um, I also want to emphasize on the fact that just like Richie mentioned, you don't need to have all the required skills. Even when you think you have all the required skills, when you start contributing, you will be required to like show another part of you that you've not shown before. I mean, you might be required to work on projects, to use some programming language or to use some tools you have not used before. And this is why or this is one of the good thing about Outreachy because the Outreachy mentors are there to support you, to hold your hands while you work, to hold your hands, teach you, guide you, I mean, through the process, guide you, share resources that are going to be really helpful with you. In summary, the Outreachy mentors are there to support you during your contribution stage. Not just the outreach mentors, the community project, the projects you are contributing to as a community. And open source is the whole idea of open source is the community behind it. This community are ready to like all you need to do is to ask your question and you will see other persons in the community giving you insights on what the solution that they've probably the steps they've probably have taken before or how they think you can what the steps they think you can take to solve that particular problem. So make good use of not just you having your mentor there to tutor you, to guide you through this stage, but make use of the contribution, the community members. Um, Various community have channels where you can drop your questions and they are going to reply to you. So thank you very much. I think I should ask Moazzam this question as well. In your community, during the contribution stage, what are some things that you noticed when you joined the community? Please take note that some persons are already asking they're already asking these questions. Say, I feel overwhelmed. There are lots of persons in the community already. I don't know the next step to take. My mentor has not replied me. Feel just imagine all the questions that the applicants are asking now and use that to guide your answer. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So when I specifically went with my project, I just realized that similar to Richie, actually, I just noticed that it is quite simple because it was relatively new. It didn't have too many commits. It wasn't, and there weren't too many. There, this was a bit of a problem, but there weren't too many things to do. But I used this as an opportunity to look for things that were wrong with the project, or like things like there were that were problematic perhaps, like because it's not just the specific issues that your mentors have laid out for you, it's also the things that they haven't considered themselves. Like for example, maybe there could be something wrong with the documentation, for maybe there was something, um, there was like some barrier for you as a newcomer, and your mentors and your community really appreciate your feedback because they want more newcomers to their community. So so if you, even if you get stuck, use that as an opportunity so to inform the community perhaps, because they are interested in that. And specifically when it comes to getting intimidated, I would say that is true, and I felt that myself. And I would, I don't know if anyone's seen the movie Finding Nemo, but that's, there's a phrase from that movie that comes to mind where like Doris is like, just keep swimming. So that's what you have to do. You have to just keep swimming. You have to focus on the things that you can do and that you are able to do, and then just keep doing them. And yeah, that's, I guess these are just the intimidation is kind of just a distraction. You need to focus on
Mm-hmm,
the task at hand.
mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing that. I remember during one of our previous chats, we had one of the interns mention that just the same way the past interns that we have now mentioned that they were surprised, they were not sure it's actually true when they got the results of their initial applications. I've seen past interns that mentioned that they were not even sure that they will be accepted as a mentor because there were a lot of persons that were contributing, and they were just enjoying the learning process and they were doing their thing. They had a positive mindset that, oh, this thing is going to work for me. They ignored all the noise. I posted something recently on my Twitter platform that ignore the noise. Do your thing. Be dedicated to it. Believe it's going to work out for you. And what is the worst thing? Even when the worst case scenario comes, make sure you learn something from that stage. And so, just like Moazzam mentioned, ignore the noise, pay attention. If you need to, ask questions and just do your own part. And at this point, I think I should add that start recording your final um, application. Don't worry. Unlike the initial application, you can always come back to edit your final application. Start recording your final application so that you don't miss out on some applications or some contributions that you have actually done. If you are rushing, if you're waiting till the final day before you submit your final application. So start now. You can always go back to update your contribution, which you have submitted in your final application, until the last day. So I'm going to move over to Loveth now. Hi, Loveth. So I want you as well to highlight few things you notice when you join the community, and also to address some things that Mutsan has already mentioned, but in your own perspective, if there is any. But most importantly, I want you to state some common mistakes that you think you have made or other contributors have made or they used to make during the contribution period. Do you get me, or you want me to repeat that?
Yeah, yeah, I get.
Okay.
Okay. So when I first joined the community I contributed to, I was overwhelmed with the number of people that were there. I was overwhelmed the messages that they've all dropped. Like it was like a marketplace. You get so many messages. Even to see the message by the mentors like that the mentors have dropped for the people that are interested in contributing, it was difficult, you understand. So I had to go to it was Slack. We use Slack mainly for communication, so I had to go to the pinned messages before I could see the message that the mentor dropped. So with all the people, with all the messages and everything that was there, I was really confused on what to do. I was confused on the next step to take. So after looking at the pinned messages, I read the links that they included, and then I took a look at the first issues. Like they created some good first issues for people to work on. So I took a look at those issues, and most of them were claimed. Like 99% of them were claimed already, because definitely, I'm very sure that the day that the contribution mail came out, people already joined that channel that same day. And me, I did not join that day. So imagine the amount of people, and imagine the just the little good first issues that were open. So most of them were already claimed. So I had to like search deep. I had to even look at the issues that were open like 3 years ago. And I claimed one of those issues. You understand? So I've claimed the issue. Now what's next? So contributing was very difficult, because getting used to the code base of any community is not an easy thing, regardless of the fact that you know the language that they use, or maybe you know the framework that they use or stuff like that. Getting used to it is not easy. Trying to find out where stuffs are located is not easy. So I had to take some time. I have to take a lot of time before I could find out the file I was even supposed to make my changes to. Not to talk of even contributing. I've not even started though. I had to like look for where to find those files. So after finding the files, I had to make the changes. This was all on GitHub. So it got to the point that there was no way I could make my changes on GitHub. I had to install their code base on my laptop. That was where the issue came up from. I spent 2 weeks trying to install their code base on my laptop. 2 good weeks. So I cloned from GitHub. I had to install some packages and some other dependencies, and at the same time, I had to make sure that it was working fine. But mainly because of the fact that the community was most of the stuffs were mainly built for Mac, and I was using and I'm still using an HP laptop. That was like it was really difficult. It was really, really difficult. So there were some times that I felt like giving up because of the fact that a lot of people are starting making contributions. I saw that people's contributions were getting merged. They were posting everywhere that, hey, my contribution just got merged. Hey, I've opened this issue, that kind of thing. And I was still trying to battle with setting up the code base on my laptop. And it was already 2 weeks. I really felt like giving up. But then, as at that time, I've already stopped engaging with Creative Commons community. So I knew that this was my last bet. This was the only chance I have. So there was no way I was giving up, because I've already promised myself and my friend that I was going to get in. So regardless of the fact that I was not able to set up my code base, that was when I started messaging the mentors. I sent them DMs, all of them. I messaged them that, hey, I have issues here. I'm not able to do this. I'm not able to do that. I even messaged my the applicants, my co-applicants. I messaged them too. The ones that I noticed were very active and they've set up the code base on their system. I messaged them. So we had Zoom meetings, we have Google Meet, and then they explained to me. I shared my screen with them, and at the end of the day, I was finally able to set it up on my laptop. If you see the joy, I was so happy that day. I was like,
I can
finally.
imagine.
Yeah,
I
like
can imagine.
finally.
I can imagine. Thank you
Honestly.
so much for sharing that, Lovett. That was really in depth. I appreciate you. And a few things from what Lovett just mentioned. I think it's really important to have accountability partner, and your accountability partner can be your co-applicant, because the way the open source community is, you can openly ask your questions, and as well you can get people who you people are contributing to the same project to help you, probably because they've passed through that process. They can help you with what you're looking for, the answers that you might feel you're going to, or normally you can face you can take like 3 days trying to get solutions to that problem. Your co-applicants this time around can help you out with that. So please feel free to ask your question openly in the community, and ignore the noise. Once again, ignore a lot of people that have contributed, and do your thing. Just do your thing, play your part. Your mentors are there, reach out to them when there is need to. Once again, thank you so much, Loveth. And I think you've started answering my next question, but I'm going to allow Blessing to answer. I'm going to ask Blessing that question. So Blessing, based on where Loveth stopped, can you point out or can you tell us some common mistake that you or other contributors make during contribution period?
Okay. In addition to what Lovett said, I'd like to add something. She mentioned the fact that she was overwhelmed by the fact that when she checked the repo, she noticed that most of the good first issues had already been taken. There's one line I saw. They said the best good first issues are the ones that you create yourself. So the
Hmm.
fact that you don't see good first issues on repository should not be a problem to you at all. No code base is perfect. So you can always go to a code base or you check their website and look for bugs for by yourself. So you can create you can create issues and then ask your mentors to assign those issues to you since you are the one that discovered the issues. Okay, so common mistakes in applicants make. I would say hoarding information. I think I noticed with a couple of applicants during my in my cohort, they feel this whole thing is a competition, and so whatever information they get to find out about the project, they should keep it to themselves so that they have a higher chance at maybe getting the internship. Not like forgetting the fact that the main essence of open source is the fact that you're able to communicate community and then work together with other people to make like bring something to life. So you should be very open to communicating with those you're working with during the contribution phase. Like I know it's a competition, but don't take it to her like it's one do or die affair. Be very open to having conversations with other applicants. Be very open to asking your mentors questions, and that brings me to another mistake that applicants make. Like they don't know how to ask mentors questions. You should be able to ask your mentors good questions. Let me give an instance. Let's say I want to, okay, rather than going to meet my mentor and saying, oh, please, what is Outreachy? Like that would even like give my mentor a wrong impression about me. Like I didn't do my homework before coming to meet them. Instead of going to meet them and saying, oh, please, what is Outreachy? I could go online, do my research, and then go to meet them like, oh, I went online. I saw the Outreachy is so, 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 and so. Please, can you help me understand what the stages of outreach are? That's a better way to ask questions and they'll take you more serious. Like it's something I've noticed. And with that approach to asking questions, apart from my mentors, I was able to build connections with people in my community, people that would like see job opportunities and they'll be like, oh, Blessing, I thought of you today. Try to apply to this thing. So know how to ask good questions interns make. They feel quantity is better than quality when it comes to contribution, and that's a lie. They feel, oh, if I'm able to make up to 10 contributions, so outreach is going to accepting. Who is a lie? Instead of making 10 contributions that don't hold water, it's better you make 5 solid ones. Like, okay, during my time, I think I did about 6 solid contributions I was sure of. And that's better than going all or like going over the board doing 10, 15, and then it's stuff you're not sure. So quality is better than quantity any day when it comes to open source contributions or open source contribution. Then I think the last I'll talk about is lacking creativity. I've noticed that with most projects, they have a task, like what do they call them? I've forgotten, but there's okay, micro tasks. Most communities have micro tasks they give to their applicants. That's to tell you that they're asking all the 200 or more than 200 applicants they have in their community one question. What should be ringing in your head is how you're going to make your own answer to that question unique. So, however you're going to do it, like that's where creativity comes in. If they're asking for A, like look for ways to like take A further. Okay, let me give an instance. During my time, we were asked to assess some pages and then see if there were accessibility issues with those pages and then profess solutions to those problems. I assessed pages, professed solutions to the problems I discovered, and then went ahead to tell them, oh, instead of assessing these issues manually, why don't we automate the process of like spotting these issues? So always look for ways to like make your contributions show creativity. This is your opportunity to convince your mentors that you're what they are looking for. So do stuff or make your application stand out. Thank you.
I'm so impressed. Thank you so much for sharing that blessing. That was really good. Okay. I hope everyone in the comments, the applicants in the comments, are making good use of the insights and the experiences that our past interns are sharing. If you have learned one or two things, from this session, I want you to appreciate our past interns. Please appreciate them so that their head can serve and give you more insight. All right. So a few things that I noticed from what, or I gathered from what Blessing just discussed with us. Ask good questions. Ask good questions. Don't just ask questions that are obvious. Questions you can easily get answers to. Build yourself, then ask for help. It's easier to actually support someone who has taken a step to get to somewhere. So the same goes to persons that are asking, how can I contact my mentor? I can now pick a project. If you read the email address that Outreachy organizer sent you, it contains the details that you need to pick a project to access all the available projects. So pick a project, click on the project, read the information on the project so that you can better understand how to join the community and what the project is requiring, what the project requirements are. And also reach out to your mentor when there is need to. Some projects used to like state some action points for applicants. So when you join the community, introduce yourself. It is very important. Introduce yourself so that you can connect with other applicants in your community. Introduce yourself. Some projects will state that you should add or mention or tag the mentor so that you can call their attention. Remember, there are a lot of applicants in the community, so you want to follow each and every step that have been stated out there in their project details. So if your mentor said let's assume your mentor said reach out to me via email if you need my support on anything, please reach out. And let's say you reach out, the application starts on Monday. Let's say you reach out and your mentor has not answered you. Please wait for at most 3 working days, not weekends. 3 working days. If after the 3 working days or during these 3 working days, please go back to the community and ask question. Ask other applicants, other community members same question, or tag your mentor that, oh, I've sent to mail, or send them a DM, or what. Just make good use of the available platform. If you've exhausted all these options and after the 3 days you couldn't hear back from your mentor, or you couldn't get the right information you need or the necessary information needed for your contribution in the community, then you can now reach out to the Outreachy organizer, explaining in details the steps you have taken and not just asking the question straight, so that we can better support you, but we can better provide you with a proper solution. So after the 3 days, after exhausting all the options that you have to reach your mentors and to start your contribution, after 3 working days, you can then reach out to the Outreachy organizers or send us a mail via applicants_help@outreachy.org. Okay, so let me move now to Moazzam. Moazzam, so was there a point during your, I know our past interns, our guests today, they've mentioned it during their explanation, but let me direct this question to you. So was there a point during your contribution period that you doubted yourself, like you felt, I don't think I want to do this again? If there is any situation like that, how did you get over this situation?
Okay, so I certainly felt that way. Um, this was, I would say, towards the middle of my in contribution period, because I was like, I was thinking that, did I select the right project? Because there was a point where I stop focusing on many projects and just focus on that single project, which can be a good thing, but it can also have you be worried like I was. But it can be a good thing because like you have all your attention focused in one place, and you can make valuable contributions in on one project because you're focusing all your attention over there. And so that was my reasoning, and it did sort of work out for me in the end. So when it came to doubts, it was more like that. It was more of a feeling of imposter syndrome, as in like, do I know about this project? Why did I even select this? And then what I was doing is I just kept, again, it was like again more of that ignoring the noise, but it was more about keep on working on that specific thing that I'm working on. But it was also like I also saw other people, newcomers joining midway, and I noticed that just by helping them, it sort of did make me feel a bit better. And that may sound a bit counterintuitive actually, but because but if you start helping other people, you sort of like empathize with them because they just sort of started out, and you realize that you sort of did make some progress, but at the same time they're also getting some benefit from you. And this sort of touches upon that thing that Blessing talked about it being a competition. I think that is sort of there, but and you do feel like that, but as soon as you start to understand what the open source community is really about, you you should understand the nature of the competition is there. It's more like it's it's a kind of competition that helps the community, right? So what you should
You
be doing is like not being thinking that, oh, I need to push others down in order to go up. You should be thinking that, okay, let's help each other meet
Mhm.
the final goal. And because in the end, the end goal is not to get your internship. The end goal is for you to learn something. So don't just focus I would say just make that your target, that you learn something, because even if you get your internship, you're going to learn something. And even if you don't get your internship, you're still going to learn something. The
Mhm.
main point is to use this, the fact that there are mentors here, potential mentors here available to answer your specific questions about something, and then using that to your advantage.
Thank you so much, Zam, for explaining this. I can see we've actually we have shared insightful things so far, and the applicants have learned a lot as well. So, quick one. There's a question that someone asks via our social media platform, and the question is that, the question is that, can I apply for more than can I contribute to 4 projects? Outreach organizers only encourage you to contribute to at most two projects, so you don't feel overwhelmed and you can make meaningful contribution. It is not how far or how many contribution you make, it is the quality of your contribution. I actually forgot the other question, but if I remember, I'm going to like speak on it. So Richie, this next question actually go to you. We want to like round up
Okay.
very soon. So
All right.
to you, what stood out for you during the contribution stage? What's that thing that stood out
Okay.
for you?
Okay, that's a good question. To me, during the contribution phase, because even after the contribution phase, I asked my mentor after they selected me. I asked her like, okay, why was I picked? What are the things she
Mm,
saw in me, and the other
mm,
intern that was picked? What did you see in us? So she said the main reason why we were picked was our ability to coordinate the whole contribution phase. Because during the contribution, the tasks that were assigned to do were to build something like Udemy, a video platform, an educational platform, something like Udemy. So this educational platform will require different skills, both the front end, the UI guys, and the back end. But the two interns that we picked, there was a girl, Sandy. So she created something like a Zoom call for all the participants. So all the participants were at the Zoom call. We like brainstormed on the different sections that would or the different milestones we need to hit to achieve this particular end goal. So we just like broke down the task, that whole big task of creating the Udemy app. We broke it down into smaller bits, then shared it across all participants. So that whole process of trying to coordinate the whole contribution to achieve that end goal, that was what they saw in us, coordinating the contribution, working collaboratively, exactly, working collaboratively with others. They don't want to see you only trying to do everything by yourself. Because I think there was a
mm,
project I was working for too. There was this guy, he just wanted to do everything on his own. That's wrong. If you're assigned a particular task and maybe that task is too big for you, there's no problem, there's no issue if it's not a bad thing if you allow others to work collaboratively with you, even if it is very competitive. You want to see that you're able to work with others perfectly well. Because even after you get selected, you're not going to be doing everything on your own. You still be working with other open source contributors. So it is very, very important that you work collaboratively with others. So once you're meant to see that you can work collaboratively, or when you face issues, this is also very important. When you face issues, you communicate with them. And when they give you feedback, you act based on that particular feedback. They really, really appreciate that. It's not like maybe you ask a particular question, they give you feedback, you don't respond, or they give you feedback, you don't act based on that feedback. It's just like you're not taking correction. So it's better if you have an issue, anytime you encounter an issue, do your research on it. You give your mentor feedback. Okay, I have this so and so error. When I set your line, this was the solution I got, but it's still not working. Then them they will now give you a hint on what to do next. I think that was what really helped me during my whole contribution phase.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Really appreciate you. So, I hope you have learned. The second to the last question that I have here actually is, I'm going to throw this to Blessing. Blessing, using three words, and other past interns should, our guests here should prepare themselves. So, in three words, summarize your Outreachy contribution period experience, the O experience. Now you've contributed, now you've engaged, now you've collaborated, you've helped others, you've made unique contribution, you have asked good questions. Summarize the whole experience using three words. Blessing.
I don't think I don't think 3 words are enough.
Sorry
I'm not
for
sure 3 words
putting
are
you in that
enough.
corner.
I didn't
Okay,
even
just
prepare for
just
that
explain the
one.
experience. Summarize the experience for us. Summarize the
Let me
experience.
see. I'll say it was life changing.
Hmm.
I'll explain why. It made me realize that I can actually do anything if I put my heart to it, no matter the challenge that comes with it. Let me explain.
Hmm.
So when the contribution phase started, my laptop crashed.
Oh my.
I had to reach out to a friend, and what we were doing then was, okay, the laptop he had was his work laptop. So he would use his work laptop in the morning down to, let's say, 5, 6. So by 6 o'clock, I'll go to his house, pick up his laptop, and then work overnight. My efforts paid off in the end. I'm way, 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 way better than I am right now compared to the position I was then. So from my experience in general with outreach, I've learned that I can learn anything, I can do anything, no matter the challenge that comes with it, once I set my heart to it. And the one thing I would want to say also is the fact that there's no technology that you cannot learn. when we started this thing, my project, the skills that I required were HTML, web accessibility, and Git. But when I started writing Python, I didn't know. When I started writing, working with PyTest and Playwright, I didn't know. So there's like a whole lot of things you can learn during this process. If there's anyone out there listening to me, I'd like you to like put your best foot forward. Do any and everything you can within these 4 weeks. Um, and adding to what you said about, sorry, I talk a lot. Adding to what
It's
you said about
okay.
reading the documentation, reading documentation is actually very important because there was a day I read, and I stumbled on one documentation about what mentors were looking for in an intern. There's one line I saw there. They said your degrees don't matter,
At
that what
all.
matters to them is the contribution you make during these 4 weeks. So whatever you can do, whatever you can learn, whatever you can Google, whatever you can research during these 4 weeks, do it. Like give it your best shot. The absolute worst that can happen is that you learn new things that will help you in future. So just give it your best. You'll be fine. And it's okay to feel overwhelmed. We're all there.
Yes, so yes, so thank you so much, Blessing, for that. I think you'll find a way to merge that question and the next question I have. So I'm just going to follow the same method to the other guests as well. So Mozam,
Okay.
can you summarize your contribution period experience, and also what advice will you give the current Outreachy contributors?
Okay, so I was actually preparing for you to tell me ask me the question about those three words, but
Yes, please go on with it.
okay, so I did come up with two words: rewarding and humbling.
Hmm,
And
nice.
but I was thinking of another word, but I'll also focus on your current question. Could you please repeat that again?
Okay, so I said you should summarize your experience during the outreach contribution period, and also you should give advice to the current outreach applicants.
Okay, sure. So if I was to summarize it, so like I started out like shopping for projects in the beginning, in the first couple of days, and then I kept filtering out projects over the course of the time, over the first week, and then eventually I just focused and narrowed my attention down to one specific project, and then I kept focusing on that specific project. And then, as I learned enough about it, I was also helping the newcomers come along, who were coming out midway, and then eventually I just like ins- instead of focusing on the number of contributions that I was doing, I was just kept like working on this one specific task towards the end of it, and like learning the specific tools that would help me. And the advice I would give to interns is
Applicants.
that you should believe in yourself, believe in yourself more than you think, because like you don't really know what you know, and you don't really know what you don't know. And you should know that, and you should be willing to jump into situations that you aren't very comfortable in. So and also step out of your comfort zone. if you're if you're just like into web development, that's cool, but like maybe like something close to that, a little bit out of your comfort zone. Maybe even if you are a software engineer, maybe you should even like try something like writing documentations. You don't really know until you haven't really tried it. And the outreach contribution period is the best um, place to experiment in what you know and what you like.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know one of our guests needs to leave now. Hi, Richie. Can you please summarize the experience and give any advice that you have quickly in 1 minute before we excuse you? I'm not sure if they're still here. Hi, Richie. Okay, I assume they're not. Okay, so let's move over to Loveth. So Loveth, this is the last question. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I know we've spent past 1 hour. Loveth, kindly summarize your experience during the contribution phase and as well give your advice to those contributing right now. You can put up your video if that's fine.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. So if I'd like to um, mention my whole contribution experience in 3 words, it would be intimidating, informative, and interactive, the 3 I's. So, intimidating in the sense that when I first joined, getting used to everything was overwhelming. But at the end of the day, I was able to do something. I was able to get used. I was able to adapt. That's the thing with humans. You might think that you are not able to do it, or you might think that it's not possible. But at the end of the day, you'll be surprised at what you've been able to achieve. And that was what happened. Like I got so used to the code base that the people that were just joining at that point, if they ask questions, I answer them. If they have issues or maybe they're not able to locate something, I point them to the right direction. Then informative in the sense that I learned a lot during the contribution phase. I learned how to use TypeScript. I've not used TypeScript before, but because of one of the issues I was working on, I had to learn how to use TypeScript. And right now, that has been added to my skill set. When I'm applying for jobs, I can add that to my skill set that, okay, I know TypeScript. Then interactive in the sense that everybody was so friendly. The mentors, the other applicants, everybody was so friendly. Whenever anybody joins the Slack channel and they're asking questions, we always help each other out. If we know something, we share with the community because we know that someone else somewhere might be having that same issue. Then for the code base, we held meetings, like see us having meetings like 2 times a week, everybody doing video call, Zoom meeting, just because of the fact that we wanted to carry everybody along. We wanted everybody to actually win. Sure, we know that it's kind of like a competition because everybody's not going to get selected at the end of the day, but we wanted it to be in such a way that you enjoy your time you spent learning all this stuff. So that's the thing I'll have to tell everybody listening here. Don't be discouraged. You may feel that you don't know this thing, or you may feel that getting used to everything is so overwhelming, or you may even feel that other people have more skills than you, that they have more chances of being picked. Like there was this girl that was always very active in the community. I was active too, like I always answers question, but this girl was like on another level. I got scared because we were applying to the same project. I got scared, like, hey, this girl is very interactive, like she's always there. Whenever anybody is asking anything, she's always there. That kind of thing. But I did not let that discourage me. I still kept on contributing. If I have questions, I ask. If I know something that someone is asking, I answer that person. So I kept doing my thing. I kept contributing. I kept trying to sponge in the knowledge that I was learning based on the issue I was working on. So that's just the thing. Just keep learning, keep working, keep putting your effort. Put 100% of your effort. At the end of the day, even if you are not selected, you are going to make connections with people that might actually help you later in the future. You are going to make friends that at the end of the day you can gist with, you can share opportunities with. So just keep learning and be happy about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Loveth. I think Richie is here. Hi, Richie. Just 1 minute.
Yeah, hi. Okay.
Yeah, can you please? Yes, you can
Okay,
follow the
so
protocol.
what I would say to wrap up, even if I like one thing about me, I like being realistic. Even if at the end you don't get this internship, because like almost all the past interns, we once applied before, we got rejected, we applied again before we got the internship. Even if you don't get the internship, it's still a win-win situation. One, because during the contribution phase, you learn a lot. You learn a lot if you put your mind to it. Because personally, I felt in software development, the only thing that you do is just code, just code, just code. But it's not really just coding. There's a lot more aside coding, just documenting, presenting what you made. It's another important part. So you learn a lot. I learned different technologies. I learned about TypeScript, learned about automating tests, continuous integration, and continuous deployment. All those things I didn't learn on my own, but it was just during the internship. Even if I didn't get the internship, at least during that contribution phase, I learned how to contribute to open source. So it's a win-win situation, even if you don't get the internship. The reason why I'm saying this is that because people see it as a do or die affair. If you don't get it, you are still welcome to the community. You can still keep contributing to that particular community. That does not mean you have lost in all. The connections you make during the contribution phase is still very important because there's still this particular girl that was during the internship. We are still in talking terms. I've learned a lot from her because me, like I said before, I'm not a front end person. I learned a bit about React from her. So it's still a win-win situation. You get to still talk to the mentors. The mentors are even always available, even outside the internship. You can still get to meet them. If there are opportunities, they can still share those opportunities with you, even if you don't get the internship. So that's just basically it.
Thank you so much for sparing us your time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much to the guests. Thank you, Moazzam, Loveth, Blessing, and Richie for dedicating this time to support the Outreachy applicant. In summary, if you're just joining us, the this chat replay will be available on our YouTube channel, so you can watch in case you didn't join us from the beginning of the chat, and you can ask your question even on the channel, and the Atuchi organizers will be there to reply you. You can also follow up with our guests, Blessing, Lovett, Moazzam, and Richie on their social media platform. Their contact is in this chat description. Please follow them, and you have a lot to learn from them. Once again, Outreach is for everyone. Don't be intimidated because there are lots of persons contributing to that particular project. Don't be intimidated because you have applied once and you didn't get in. You've heard stories, experiences of our alums. So put in your best, be open, be positive, collaborate, make unique contribution, ask good questions, do your research, and collaborate. And also, and most importantly, start recording your final contribution. You can always edit your final application on like the initial application. Start putting together your final application now. Reach out to your mentor via the process or the contact platform that they've described in their project description. And if you have further question, you can always ask us by sending us a DM. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And we are going to be having another chat like this on the 21st of March. Please ensure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss when we put up notification for any chats. We look forward to having you during after the initial the contribution stage. We look forward to welcoming you to the internship itself. Results for the internship will be announced soon. Now that is after the contribution, of course. I can't wait to welcome everybody to the Outreachy community. Once again, thank you so much for joining and see you later some other time. Bye bye, everyone.
Uh, yes,
Bye.
let's start the
Bye.
meeting of our